I know you feel that uncertainty because if ever there was a time to feel uncertainty, it surely is now. And uncertainty doesn't just feel uncomfortable, it literally feels unsafe. Like if you find yourself saying, if you don't figure it out soon, or if that they don't figure it out soon, things are only going to get worse. And if your mind has been looping and looping lately, future scanning, thinking about worst case scenarios, overthinking, over researching, and hell, over planning, guess what? You are in a mental trap. And here's the thing, your brain is not designed for peace, it's designed for prediction. And its job is to literally scan for danger and conserve energy. So, when the future is unclear, when your relationships or work feels unstable, or when the whole world just simply feels unpredictable, your nervous system doesn't register the unknown, it registers threat. And once that happens, the mind goes to work, not to create, not to connect, but to bring control. And here's the thing, this is what we call the certainty trap. It's this need, this sneaky need to feel safe, to feel certain about things that you have no control over. It is the belief that says, if I can understand it, then everything will be okay. If I can predict it, then I'll be safe. If I can control it, then I can relax. So when uncertainty appears, your system doesn't just adapt, it panics. It shows up in the form of criticism. Perfectionism gets loud. Fear-based thinking takes over. And self-efforting goes into overdrive. And emotional reasoning seals the trap with the idea because your brain goes, if it feels unsafe, then it must be unsafe. Let me make this real for you. You ever live with someone, an adult, who has ADHD? Ha! Well, welcome to my world. Yikes! Talk about uncertainty. You see, my husband is known for impulsivity, time blindness, sudden pivots, half-finished thoughts, brilliant bursts followed by, yeah, this is my world. And my, oh my, talk about uncertainty. Early in our relationship, I remember thinking, if it was just a lack of discipline, that perhaps if he would just slow down, be more consistent, think things through, stick to a plan, everything would be much easier. There would be less uncertainty because the chaos would just dissipate. And for a while, I tried to manage it with criticism, with correction, with control, which did absolutely nothing except exhaust me, and strain the relationship. But everything shifted the day I became curious and started asking, not asking what's wrong with him, but more asking, does his nervous system experience the world the way mine does? Because ADHD isn't a character flaw. It's simply a different way of processing life, processing attention, processing time. In a brain that doesn't regulate, in the ADHD brain, it doesn't regulate dopamine the same way as others, which means novelty feels necessary. Focus comes in waves, and structure has to be relational, not imposed. The more I understood this, the less I needed certainty to feel okay. I stopped trying to control our experiences, and I started learning how to be present inside of it. I couldn't control his choices. I couldn't change his wiring. But I could become someone who didn't need predictability to feel safe. And that changed everything. Because the real work wasn't fixing his behavior. It was releasing the belief that stability only comes from certainty. It was noticing how my nervous system wanted guarantees before it would relax. And how often I postponed peace until life made sense. Folks, that is the certainty trap. And it doesn't just show up in relationships. It shows up in leadership, it shows up in money, in health, career, spirituality, in the way we read the news, in how we parent, and how we make decisions. And anytime the mind says, once I know, I'll be okay, woo, you are in fact inside the mental trap of certainty. And here's what usually happens when we get caught in that mental trap of needing to be certain. We fall trapped to negativity bias, scanning every unknown thing for threat. Or we may find ourselves dealing with a lot of emotional reasoning where we feel anxious, so something must be wrong simply because we feel anxious. Or maybe perhaps we find ourselves in this constant state of fear-based perception, seeing things from fear, interpreting ambiguity as danger. Or maybe perhaps we struggle with perfectionism, waiting for the right move before we make any move. And then finally, we may find ourselves doing a lot of self-efforting, trying to control outcomes instead of regulating ourselves. Folks, these patterns don't create clarity, they consume energy, and they quietly teach your nervous system that peace is in fact conditional. To escape the mental trap of certainty, the need to be certain, the need to escape uncertainty, here is what you need to do. You need to create capacity. You need to create capacity to stay present while everything is still unfolding. You need to create capacity to breathe while the outcome is still unknown. You need to create capacity to lead yourself, even without knowing what's going on 5 steps ahead. And the way I do this, I lean into some anchors to help me deal with uncertainty. I practice curiosity over criticism. I practice trust over doubt. I practice releasing through forgiveness instead of holding on to resentment. I practice resting instead of all that self-efforting. I practice love instead of holding on to fear. And finally, I do a lot of playing instead of holding on to perfectionism. These are not just strategies, folks. They are nervous system anchors, okay? They train your system to remain calm in the midst of the unknown. Because when it comes to the mental trap of certainty, the real power move is becoming someone who does not collapse when life feels unsteady. It's going from, I need answers to be okay, to telling yourself, I am okay, while the answers are still forming. That is the power move. So if life feels shaky right now, which it does, before you go chasing the next solution, trying to figure things out, consider this. Ask yourself, where am I postponing peace until conditions cooperate? Where can I practice being okay before everything is explained? Where can I just simply be while the world figures itself out? Because the more your nervous system learns that it can handle the unknown, the less power uncertainty has over your life. Embrace the unknown, and you will not fall trapped to the mental trap of certainty.